when every day is a matter of survival, I don't think you can help but be involved. An artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times. We will shape and mold this country, or it will not be molded and shaped at all anymore.
Hello, everybody. Let me make myself big time. Howdy. Sorry I'm a little dark over here. My light died, so I apologize about that. Maybe I could figure something else out. But it's so overexposed here, and Squib is preventing any sort of art direction, pre-planned art direction. He's my... Shut up, baby. My dog is yelling at me for being so dark on my right side. I'm bad with my lefts and rights. Stop it, baby. Oh, Sanji's out. Well, that's too bad. This is a bad way to start the stream. I'm going to let the dog out, though. I'll be right back. Hey, quit. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so today, welcome to the Beat. I'm the writer of the Ripple Network. One of a team of writers who likes to live in the shadow, which is appropriate because today we are working on a dark noir journalism movie. I actually wrote this, the rough draft that doesn't even have an ending, a couple weeks ago, I think. It was very much inspired by the Luigi incident, the assassination, and not so much. I mean, it's a commentary on violence, but it's not like coming down on one side or the other of whether or not people should murder each other, because that's surprising. That's controversial these days, but. It's more about what has had to conspire in order for us as a society to for us to be kind of apathetic towards seeing violence. You know, we've been gaslit by the insanity and of media and of discourse. I need to put these down. Sorry, I got bottle caps. I'm rich. We've been so exposed to such darkness for so long that we tend to get a little apathetic. I remember I was shooting a gig in Austin earlier this year, and I was on break watching the news, and that man set himself on fire on live television in front of Trump's New York hearing. And that was about a 2-story day, maybe. And that was the second time that it happened this year. Of course, you got the Luigi assassination. You have the New Orleans massacre from yesterday, sorry. And that's currently still in the headlines, obviously, but I bet it won't be for long because something else will happen. And I guess we where I come down on it is we probably shouldn't be so surprised that there's so much violence and rage in a world that has been kind of gaslit, um, has been exposed to so much violence and rage, where the discourse is so vitriolic, and also there's actual bad things, legislation happening that is against civil rights, so many people's civil rights. So it's not all that shocking that these things are happening. What's a little shocking is that we're kind of numb to the violence, and I think the violence itself is an almost an answer to the apathy that we feel as a culture. And by that I mean we it's kind of like the dialogue is creating. We get so numb to anything that in order for us to get an emotional hit, something has to be wild and violent and loud and really, really in your face before we, so that we can have like some sort of emotional response, because most of our emotions are so like dead to the world. Sorry, my hair's all messed up. So like I don't really blame the. I understand where the apathy comes from. I understand where the rage comes from. But I think it's probably pretty detrimental to us as a culture, as a society, to just give in. Not only to like also encouraging things, like you might feel just in not really caring. Like I don't care. I didn't know that CEO guy, but it's it's a snowballing effect essentially. Um, One guy gets hit, what the world says is his just desserts, and then suddenly it's mob mentality, and then you start to get people that are being murdered because this or that, and it's just up to the mob to decide who gets justice. I mean, it's the classic Frankenstein's monster, the townsfolk with the pitchfork mentality, I guess. Um, there's a reason mob justice is a derogatory term, but that seems to be the current world that we're living in. So we're going to talk about it. If you have any thoughts, please put them in the chat. If you are watching the VOD of this, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, comment, all that jazz. We're gonna make something cool here as soon as everyone seems like they're ready. Like I said, I already wrote a. Let me get to the layout here. I already wrote a. Why is my script not? Here, I'm gonna have to pop open the script again. Okay. There it is. Okay. I already wrote. It's like a 3-4 page something. I think it's maybe 5 pages. But I've been sitting on it, and I'm not super happy with how it came out. I mean, I'm happy with moments in it, but I think in order to drive the message home, I think we need to. I need to rejigger some of the things. So I'm going to do that, but I don't know. Should we read it? There's my dog. That's what I was waiting for. Okay, just a sec. Okay, I'm back. So I think we can read it first, and then I'll go through. I mean, this thing is pretty dark, but then I'll go through why I want to change things and what I want to change. I've got ideas of where I want to, the direction I want to take it, and how I want to change things, but I don't have a total ending, and obviously I don't have any of the dialogue planned yet. So let's do. So, okay. I have a playlist that I created specifically for this project, which is my normal routine. This is. If you want to listen along, it's called I'm Batman's Emo Mixtape. We've got Nirvana, of course, because of the movie, the Batman movie. We got Mogwai, Godspeed You Black Emperor, a lot of Radiohead, a lot of Godspeed You Black Emperor, some Nick Cave, Aphex Twin. It's like 2 hours, so it'll get you in the mood for this thing. I'm not an actor, so, you know, I'm going to read this. It's not going to be like, I'm not going to perform it, I guess I should say. But we'll see what we can get. Like I said, it's very dark, and I'm gonna keep a lot of that. But okay, let me press play on this. And like I said, if you want to say anything in the chat, if you have any ideas, if you want to. And the last time I was writing this story about immigration, we had a really nice, healthy conversation in the chat. About those topics and globalism and capitalism and tyranny and all this stuff. Solving the world's problems, one stream at a time. Okay, so let me hit play on this and then I'll start reading. Is that going? Oh, no, it's playing in the bedroom. No, thank you. There it is. Okay. Alrighty. Let me click over here. So, exterior smokestacks night. The heat from a burning chemical fire warps the night sky. Mr. Zippo. I understand rage. The buzzing hive generates heat. It's called shivering thermogenesis. Soldiers radiate off each other to keep the colony alive. Exterior dirty street night. The leaflet titled Mr. Zippo Explains It All sticks out of the dirty back pocket of someone hiding in the shadow of an alley. Mr. Zippo. Heat motivates. Spreads like wildfire until self-immolation. I've seen it. Interior Zippo's apartment. Night. The Zine. Is it Zine or Zine? It would make sense if it was Zine, but I think it's Zine. Gets printed from an ordinary, overworked, coffee-stained printer in an office of a dark apartment. In the corner of the apartment sits a police scanner. A man with dark-rimmed glasses, white shirt, and black tie sits next to the scanner with a small notepad out. But I'm not here to start fires. I'm not here to put them out. I point at the light and the dark and let them know. I guess that should be let people know. Let them know if something's coming. After that, it's up to the hive. Up to the hive. Police scanner. Fire down at pharmacy on 31st. Suspected arson. Exterior street night. The same leaflet is charred and blowing down a filthy street caught in so much other trash. Mr. Zippo. That's what makes this such a predicament. Interior Zippo's apartment night. Zippo stares at his ringing burner phone. Caller ID reads Mayor. I actually have the burner phone. It's a prop from a different movie. It's not on right now. I need to charge it, but burner phone. You can get these things on Amazon for $16. And look, it's pretty good. It's got apps. It doesn't have like Netflix, but it has a bunch of games. It has social media, email, all the stuff you could want. Okay. Caller ID reads Mayor. Interior Cunningham House night. Zippo stands next to a kitchen table of an older woman, Georgia Cunningham. The home is old and tired. So is Georgia. Zippo writes in a notepad. On the table is a map of a local area with a red zone surrounding a small drawing of large building labeled down. What does that mean? Large building labeled down. I don't know. Inside the red zone are several black X marks with names associated. Georgia coughs. Her hand shakes as she tries to drink some wine through a straw. Zippo holds her glass steady. Mr. Zippo. Anonymity, thank you, gives the fearful faith. They deserve it. Haven't decided about myself. Interior Zippo's car. Continued. Zippo's phone shows several missed calls and a voicemail from Mayor. Mayor voicemail. What kind of reporter doesn't answer their phone? I've got a story for you, but you just need to get here quick. I'm not at the mansion. I know where you are. All right. He's not answering. This is voiceover. I know where you are. You're the molten core of the earth. Gravity falling into itself. Interior Mayor's home. Continued. Zippo stands outside of Mayor's doorway, which is ajar. He stares at it for a minute before hearing the crash come from inside. Curiosity sends him in. When I read these things, I've always had this issue when I read scripts. It sounds like I'm reading the news. I don't know why I have that affectation. Anyway, I'm not an actor, guys. The lights are out save for red emergency and a couple of battery-powered floodlights. Zippo walks in on Mayor being pummeled by a stranger in his ragged police uniform. The officer stands, looks at Zippo, walks away, and casually leaves the house. Is there a name for someone that's both a knight in shining armor and executioner? Usually asshole. Interior Zippo's car. Continued. Zippo is driving through town. Mayor with a bloody rag to his face. I'm used to corporate takeovers and... Do I want this guy to be... I'm trying to figure out if I want... How, like... kind of a jerk I want this guy to be. I guess it doesn't matter, because I'm soon to just, like, remove him from the plot anyway. You'll see. I'm used to them trying to knock me off, but now there's people, like... I don't know, where they don't even come from. I don't even know where they come from. It's new faces trying to get rid of us. Of me. People like you, Zips. You give them the ammo. My board membership was supposed to be quiet, easy. Nobody used to make a fuss. You gave them a reason to care 10 years ago with that cop story. Zippo's ears pick up. Yeah, I've been reading your stuff for years. I don't know if your fans are more jaded or cynical or apathetic and mobilized, but what do you think? Mayor looks at himself in the rearview mirror. Do I look like one of your soldiers? Interior gas station night. Mayor sits in the car while Zippo stands in line and behind and in front of someone. The dirty politician is right. I melted the sand of time into a mirror that reflected what they wanted to see. Madness. The world saw itself honestly, ate it up, shat it out, and is repeating the process. The man in front of Zippo pulls a mask over his face and holds up the gas station attendant. Zippo turns around to look at the man behind him. Last year, the most watched program was a televised rape. The man rolls his eyes, walks his way, frustrated that his day is inconvenience. When does trauma turn into delusion? Ooh, or maybe it should be disillusion. Let me look up the exact definition of disillusion. Define. Disillusion. I gotta learn how to spell it first. Disappointment resulting from the discovery that something is not as good as it once used to. Disillusion is the word I was looking for. That's what I thought. When does illusion turn into mass... Okay. When does trauma turn into disillusion? When does illusion turn into mass apathy? We saw too much. Exterior, down farm... Oh, that's why it's called down. Down chemical. That's why. Or Dow chemical. I'm clever. Down pharmaceutical incinerator at early morning. Zippo pulls his car up to an old-fashioned... Zippo pulls his car up to an old, abandoned factory surrounded by neighborhoods that should have been abandoned a long time ago. Interior. Zippo and Mayor walk around the abandoned complex. 3 years ago, I stashed all these tapes, somewhere around here. Mayor finds an old box under some rubble behind a machine. Here it is. Okay, if you look through this, you'll see the security cam footage of the board meeting after the board meeting after board meeting of me, and only me, rejecting proposals to cover up the stories of the poisoning. I told them it'd be better to get ahead of the story, pay families, relocate. The board wants to push me out, and so they planted the mainstream story that I created, the cover-up. But you're trying to keep the truth out there. Zippo stops writing on his notepad. What? Wait, no. What? You annexed the land for the company to build this place, knowing they were burning off their chemical runoff. It was supposed to be a clean burn. Am I the only person at this... I'm the only person at this level fighting for... I mean, you may not think I was doing everything right, but if they keep coming after me, it's only going to get worse. That's how this is all set up. Tell your readers I'm not their enemy. The system is their enemy. This is proof. That's all I have so far. So, why is that down there? Anyway, okay. So there's good points in this mayor conversation, the conversation with the mayor. And I like the idea, I do like the idea that one of the main characters is the guy that everyone's supposed to... Hello, Silver Streak Bohemian! Good to see ya! You just missed me reading the script, but that's okay. So the way I have this script set up is Mr. Zippo is the creator of an underground zine? It's a leaflet that he passes out because in this universe, nobody trusts the mainstream media. Go figure. So he has this zine that everyone likes, and he's been doing it for like 10 years or so. He has watched the world become more and more apathetic, and his current problem is he's realized that the discourse only becomes fiery. Like, people eat up his writing whenever he does something salacious, when he covers a story that's like, violent. He'll put out stories that are positive or whatever, but people are like, yeah, whatever. I want the violence. I guess that's the world of... I didn't really realize this, but that's kind of also the world of Clockwork Orange. It's like ultra-violence. So that's kind of interesting. Anywhoots, this universe is a lot like Gotham. They've seen so much, like, horror, and they've been treated like third-class citizens for so long that it's hard for them to muster up empathy when bad things happen to what they've deemed bad people, which is totally understandable, and that's obviously this is what's happening now. But what's his issue is, well, as a journalist, am I just feeding them more fuel? Am I adding fuel to the fire? Because I know that they're in a current state of not mass hysteria, almost mass apathy. It's mob rule. In that state, like, they will take whatever they want and use that as gospel, whether it's true or not. And they'll take any little infraction, and then it snowballs into, okay, well, yeah, everyone might agree that this guy should have kicked the bucket. That's not what I'm saying. That's what the society is saying. But, like, how do they decide who the next person is? Doesn't it kind of snowball because people in their anger they just want a target, and that's all they want. So anyway, Mr. Zippo is covering a story about this place called Down Down Pharmachemical, I believe. It's Dow Chemical. Um, they the mayor a few years ago paid or sold this land to Down Chemical, and it was for their pharma chemical incinerator. They were just all these chemicals that they had to burn off, and they would just kind of it would run off into the neighborhoods, and of course it was a poor neighborhood, so it poisoned. They tried to sell the people or buy the houses and move them out, but the ones that didn't move, they all got poisoned, got cancer, and all this stuff. Um, and in the current state of the script, Zippo's doing a story on that, but he's hanging out with the mayor, who's a longtime Zippo reader, and he's like, um, the mayor is like, listen, man, I was the only one that was like, hey, we shouldn't try to hide the stories about the publishing. We should be honest with the we should the poisoning, not the publishing, the poisoning. And he said, I was the only one trying to fight to publish all of the science and be honest about it. But they pushed me out anyway, planted this story that I was behind all the... It was supposed to be a clean burn, but they made me look like the bad guy. It's like, well, Mayor, you're an idiot anyway. Like, if you thought that was going to be good for the community anyway. Oh, yeah, they got jobs. Okay, great. Anyway, I think the way to restructure this is... Because at the beginning, he's interviewing a woman named Georgia Cunningham. She's one of the elder people that that didn't leave, and now she has like cancer or some sort of breathing problem, maybe. So I like the mayor character, but I think it's more powerful if I give a lot of the dialogue that the mayor has to Georgia. And what I want to do, because I have a scene where Zippo's going to the mayor's mansion, the mayor mansion, to interview him, and he walks in and he's getting beat up by a cop, who just is like, oh, all right, someone's here. I guess I'm leaving. There's no oh no, I was caught or I'm caught. He's just like, the world we live in, they don't care. Nobody cares about violence anymore, so I'm just see you later. I'm gonna go get a pizza. So Zippo walks in on him, but I think, and then they hang out and have a little bit of dialogue about the world that they live in. But I think what's more powerful is if that dialogue is given to Georgia, and as part of the story, he and Georgia go to the incinerator factory or whatever, and they stumble upon the mayor, who is about to jump out of a window because all of these things. And he maybe says like a quick little dialogue. I think the last line here would be good for the last thing. I'm the only person at this level fighting for... I mean, you may not think what I was doing was right, but if they keep coming after me, it's just going to get worse. This is how it's set up. Tell that to your readers. I'm not their enemy. The system is their enemy. This is proof. I think maybe he's hanging out the window, realizes Zippo's here with some lady, says that the lady who's been poisoned, I think the script will show how apathetic she is. She's kind of the voice of the mob mentality, and she has every reason to feel that way, obviously. She goes up to him, pushes him out the window, turns around, and Zippo's like, you feel better? And she looks at him, she's like, I haven't felt anything in 5 years. And then then begins a kind of dialogue from Zippo about just how sad that is. I'm not sure what it'll be. That's why we're writing this. But I do think it'd be nice if I think the ending might be Zippo doesn't because okay, so Zippo is in a predicament, right? So he writes all of these things, and the only ones that are popular are the ones that are um, contain violence because that gets a rise out of people, and that's true. Um, Violence and sex sell, classic media wisdom. Um, so I wonder if it wouldn't be interesting because he could continue, but he doesn't want to. As a journalist, he's supposed to stay neutral on the topic of, he's not supposed to sway people one way or the other, but the audience is swaying themselves. Um, and he genuinely is unnerved by the amount of apathy and calls for violence that exist against people they've never met. So I think might be interesting is if Zippo maybe maybe he's writing like a obituary for the mayor because he was there while he was pushed out the window. Phoebe, quit chewing on yourself. Thank you. Maybe he's writing an obituary, and then at the end of the obituary, he reveals his own identity, to kind of put a to show that, like, hey, we're all people. He kind of correlates his own an anonymity to how it's easy to rage against someone that doesn't have a face, or to follow someone that that seems bigger than they are. But if it's just a person, and also like if people know who he is, and then maybe the mob suddenly turns on him, because they disagreed with whatever. And wouldn't that be? Is he trying to martyr himself? I don't know. Maybe we have that discussion. But in the meantime, I think I'm going to switch out a lot of this dialogue from Mayor to Miss Georgia as I drink this Dr. Pepper that is larger than my entire body. And I know that like everybody, ever since because this was sparked by the Luigi assassination, but it's been a topic of mine since that guy set himself on fire in front of the Trump's meeting in court, and then that was a story for like 2 days. Like, how numb have we become? How gaslit has culture become that we'll see insane acts of violence and premeditated, like just straight up murder, and we're like, yeah, that seems about right, and then just go on with our day. I know that there's a max amount of empathy that we can psychologically like have towards people we've never met. Like there's like we're still cavemen brain. Like there's only so much that we can actually I think they said it was like 150 people that we can actually have actual true emotional connections to, but that doesn't mean we can't have empathy at large, right? Like that doesn't mean we don't have our morals. Anywhos, like I've said, I'm anti-corporal punishment, I'm anti-death penalty, and I can't be applauding murder. I didn't know the guy, so obviously I don't know about that, but like the idea of it, especially the precedent. It's all about the precedent, guys, because like if the mob takes control, and I don't want this to turn into a conversation about cancel culture. These are different things. especially because cancel culture doesn't really exist. All the people that have been canceled, except for maybe Cosby, are doing just fine. But it's like when the mob takes hold, and it's just mob mentality. Man, that's it's. I mean, it literally is a slippery slope. It'll snowball because that's human nature, and then suddenly we're taken after. Anyway, so let's get into here. Okay, so I'll read up until the parts where, and like I said, I'm not an actor. I'll read up until the parts that I want to start changing, then we'll get in and change it. Excuse me. And what's cool about this is the reason I chose an incinerator is not only is there the visual and just the metaphor of fire and heat and rage and all that, but there's an abandoned incinerator like factory in Fort Worth, which is not too far from me. So like I can go shoot it. My photographer friend was taking pictures there like a week ago. Okay, I'm ready. Exterior smokestacks, night. The heat from a burning chemical fire warps the night sky. You know, the waves. That'll be cool. Mr. Zippo. I understand rage. The buzzing hive generates heat. It's called shivering thermogenesis. Soldiers radiate off each other to keep the colony alive. Exterior, dirty street, night. The leaflet titled Mr. Zippo Explains It All. Maybe there'll be a different title. This takes out of a dirty back pocket of someone hiding in the shadow of an alley. Heat motivates. Spreads like wildfire until self-immolation. I've seen it. Interior Zippo's apartment, night. The sign gets printed from an ordinary, overworked, coffee-stained printer in the office of a dark apartment. In the corner of the apartment sits a police scanner. A man... Oh, and also, if you want to get in the mood with me, I have a playlist that I made specifically for this movie called I'm Batman's Emo Mixtape. We got Nirvana, we got Mogwai, This Will Destroy You, Godspeed Portishead, Radiohead, Nick Cave, Aphex Twin. There's all sorts of good stuff on there. But it'll get you in the mood, in the Batman mood. Okay. Where was I? In the corner of the apartment sits a police scanner. A man with dark-rimmed glasses, white shirt and black tie sits next to a scanner with a small notepad out. The vibe that I was going for with this character, and that's the visual archetype of a character that I've been writing for years. He's very, very conservative looking, kind of quiet, shy, but very, very smart. Doesn't really say much, but has a lot of thoughts. But it can be like whatever his personality wants to be. Maybe it's a hardened, old... I don't want to fall too much into noir stereotypes, but anywho. I'm not here to stop fires. I'm not here to put them out. I pointed the light in the dark, let them know if something's coming. After that, it's up to the hive. Police scanner. Fire down pharmacy on 31st. Suspected arson. Exterior, night. Street, night. The same leaflet is charred and blowing down a filthy street, caught in so much other trash. That's what makes this such a predicament. Interior Zippo's apartment, night. Zippo stares at his ringing burner phone. The burner phone is here. Hello. $16 on Amazon. Hello. Caller ID reads, Mayor. Interior Cunningham House, night. Zippo stands next to a kitchen table next to an older woman, Georgia Cunningham. The home is old and tired, Zippo writes in his notepad. On the table is a map of local areas with a red zone surrounding a small drawing of a large building labeled down. Inside the red zone are several black X marks with names associated. Georgia coughs. Her hand shakes as she tries to drink some wine through a straw. Zippo holds the glass steady. He's a nice guy. Anonymity. Gandalf the Third, hello, welcome to the chat. We're in the middle of writing a really dark noir film about society's thirst for violence in the wake of apathy, mass apathy. So we're having a fun time. It's really upbeat. It's really fun. Welcome to the chat. Anonymity gives the fearful faith. They deserve it. I haven't decided about myself. Interior Zippo's car continued. Zippo's phone shows several missed calls and a voicemail from Mayor voicemail. What kind of reporter doesn't answer their phone? I've got a story for you, but I need you to get out here quick. I'm not at the mansion. I know where you are. You're the molten core of this earth. Gravity falling into itself. Okay. Oh, okay, that's interesting, Gandalf. Gandalf says, for those watching and not reading, that has a similarity to what I'm witnessing happening in my country. It's happening all over the world. I'm in Texas. Silver Street Bohemian is in LA. It's I don't know if you know, but there was a Cybertruck that exploded. That looks like it was an accident, from what I can tell, but they're investigating it as terrorism. Cybertruck exploded, killing the driver. The day before that, or maybe it was the same day, this person in New Orleans looks like he was an ISIS member, or wanting to be. He was Texas-born, a veteran, 43 years old, drove into a crowd of celebrating New Year's Day celebrators, killed 10 people, I think, injured many more. Oh, that's interesting, Gandalf. Gandalf says there's been 5+ different groups of people arrested trying to overthrow the government recently. And obviously there's the assassination on the healthcare CEO, and a few months ago, I mean, there's been violence all the time, but a few months ago, this guy set himself on fire in front of on live television on the news. It was like a 2-day story or something. Like, just this script is a lot more about, hey, why are we just okay with these things happening? Like, forget if you agree with assassinating a healthcare CEO who is probably responsible for killing a lot of people. Like, forget if you believe that. Why, as a society, are we not only just, like, okay with straight up violence? We're numb to it. Like, that. Sorry, I'm so gassy. I'm drinking some Dr. Pepper, a big Dr. Pepper. Kuwait. Oh, that's interesting. Well, thanks for watching all the way from Kuwait. Yeah, that's fascinating. I mean, I know in other parts of the world, they've been a lot more dejected than America has for, like, a lot longer. Yeah, thanks for... If you have... So, the way we do this is I'm writing this. I'll jump into the chat. Feel free to pitch ideas for the movie, or if you're working on anything, if you're creative, feel free to talk about it. These scripts, and eventually we will film them, probably not all of them, but I want to film this one soon. It's a jumping off board for conversation, so that's kind of the coolest thing about doing this on Twitch, is there's an active chat room, so everyone can talk about the things that we're bringing up in the scripts, and they're usually pretty dang heavy. So. Exterior mayor's home continued. I don't need him to go to the mayor's home. I think if he's hanging out with Georgia, that's plenty. So what would be kind of cool is, I don't know where I would film this. That's the thing about being an indie filmmaker is, as you're writing, you have to be like, okay, do I have access to something that would work for this scene? What do I have access, and let's make that work. But what would be kind of cool is going to almost like an abandoned... Oh, actually, you know what? I know the perfect place, so don't worry about it. Like an abandoned neighborhood that's kind of boarded up and sketchy looking, because it's been polluted by this chemical place, this chemical burn-off factory. So... Man, I remember when Arab Spring 1.0... So Silver Streak Bohemian says, write what comes in and we'll figure out for sure. Collaboration filmmaking as well. Yeah, for sure. Gandalf says, I'm pretty sure we're going to see an Arab Spring 2.0. I remember when the first Arab Spring happened, and I think that was in large part because of social media like Twitter. People were able to organize. So that's funny how different the world is nowadays. I'm sorry, I don't mean to make light of terrible things happening in all around the world, especially in Kuwait. I don't know. What do you think because I remember in America we were super proud of the Arab Spring, but what do you think was the end up? How did your country respond to that, I guess? Like, how do you think it was a net positive? Do you think the pros outweighed the cons once everything is all settled? Or did it... What I've seen is, in America at least, whenever there's like what feels like really positive movement, the people that were in charge before that we were protesting against, they're all still in power and around, and they're just more mad now that we like protested. So like they're coming back with a force, and they can do things about it. So like I could see a world where the Arab Spring 1.0 was really positive and good, but all the people that are there, it's kind of ping-ponging back and forth, you know, and it's getting louder and more violent because our efforts to do something good and progressive and important are also loud and good. So that's interesting. So Gandalf says, our country got off relatively lightly, but still saw protests. Yeah, the ones in charge are mostly still in charge with the Arab winter. In some cases, it's even worse because the Islamists took charge. Yeah. That's fascinating. America, except for when it comes to like Gaza and Israel, is so blind to whatever's happening in the rest of the world. We are so self-absorbed. So my girlfriend's father and father's side of the family is from England, and on Christmas she called her like uncle, and they immediately started talking about Trump and started talking about like all of the craziness that's happening in America. And it's like, oh yeah, other countries really pay attention to us. Why don't we pay attention to what we do? So forgive my ignorance. It's just I could reach out and listen to world news more, and I should. It's just never. They don't really talk about it all much on our news programs. Um, Gandalf says, however, I think Arab Spring 2.0 won't be the same. It'll be a lot more violent, but the same people won't be in charge anymore for better or worse. That's interesting. I mean, your thing is a lot. The Arab Spring's a lot bigger of a revolution um, than what I'm about to reference, but the same thing kind of happened in America. The super ultra conservative right wing, very very Christian fundamentalist people got in politics, and it's been happening for a while, obviously, but they organized back in the day, and it was called the Tea Party. The Tea Party got into Congress, started changing a bunch of laws, and we thought that was pretty bad at the time. Well, the MAGA movement is like the Tea Party 2.0. It's way more violent. It's the same people, oftentimes. It's way worse. It's way louder, and a lot more stupid as well. Like, literally just people that are idiots. So it's interesting that, like, it can start off one way, and then the people that come back, in a few years, might be the same, might be different, but they're worse. Okay, so back into the script. Exterior mayor's home continued. Zippo, blah, 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 blah. Okay, let's change this to exterior Georgia's home. Zippo stands outside of Georgia's home, both of whom are looking at the neighborhood. The mostly abandoned neighborhood. The factory looms. I gotta sneeze. Over. I didn't make it. Excuse me. I just removed my Christmas tree, so there's a bunch of dust in the air. Ugh. The factory looms over the homes. Once belonging, let's add some poetry. Once belonging to happy families. I like this line. Georgia, change it from mayor to Georgia. Is there a name for someone that's both a knight in shining armor and executioner? That was referring to he was going. Mr. Zippo came to the mayor's house and walked up on a police officer who was pummeling him because he was mad. He craves ultra violence. Looked up at Mr. Zippo, was like, "Oh, I guess someone's here. All right, I'm headed out." He was trying to kill him and was so apathetic towards the violence that he was like he was tying his shoes. He was like, "Oh, okay, I guess it's time to go." So that's where the mayor was saying that. That's interesting, Gandalf. Sorry, to our viewers. Gandalf says, I think there's a good chance we'll see the West turn to right-wing authoritarian conservatism, and in the Middle East turns left-wing libertarian socialist. Interesting. I mean, if we could get libertarians over here in charge, I don't like libertarians, but like they're better than the MAGA movement. In fact, they're fighting each other right now, which is kind of fun to watch. But he says, Gandalf. Gandalf is a male, so that's why. But anyway, Gandalf says, we're already kind of seeing this happen with Rohava. I don't know how to say that. In Syria. Rojava? I don't pay attention to world politics enough. Well, I know that there's a lot of turmoil in Syria, but I don't know the names of the places inside. Georgia, is there a name of someone that's both a knight in shining armor and executioner? She could be referring to Mr. Zippo. She sees him as a knight in shining armor. She wouldn't see him as an executioner. Interesting. Okay. Rojava, I'm going to say that's how you pronounce it, is a libertarian socialist society started by left-wing rebel groups in Syria. Yeah, actually, Silver Streak Bohemian, who's secretly another member of the Ripple team, says maybe that's the news portion we need to look at for the Ripple more world news. I would love that, especially things that like reflect like what's happening in America, because the authoritarian movement is happening all across the world, and in some instances it's like Mexico, for example, it's turning against that, but in a lot more instances it's not. It's leaning into it harder. So I'm going to wipe my glasses real quick. Okay. Is there a name for someone that's both a knight in shining armor and executioner? Let's change that line from knight in shining armor, because she's looking at Zippo. From shining armor to... maybe she could be referring to herself? That would be kind of interesting. Is there? I wish I could be playing music in the background that is more tonally, will get you in the vibe, but that doesn't really work so well for copyright issues. Is there a name for? I like him throwing out a joke. That's important. It's important to me. Is there a name for someone that's both a knight in shining armor and executioner? Oh, what if we do this? Okay, is there a name for someone that's blank, 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 and executioner? Let's change out knight in shining armor and executioner. He can go usually asshole. And then maybe she retorts that by saying, I call him the mayor. That puts a target on the person that we've seen on the burner phone. And then he shows up later anyway. That might be interesting. Okay, let's do that. So... Oh, actually, knight in shining armor and executioner, that might actually work for the mayor already, because he's a mayor. He purports himself to be like a leader of the people, but he actually sold them down the river. He sold them to the chemical, pharmaceutical. So I like that. Okay, we made it work. A lot more. That was a lot more effort than it needed to be, but we made it work. I gotta feed the dogs in 1 hour. You can tell they're so hungry. Okay, interior Zippo's car. Zippo's driving through town. Georgia. Maybe she's holding like a coughing into a handkerchief or something like that. How do you spell it? Handkerchief. I don't like that. Gandalf says, "What would be your reaction to a pagan anarchist cult taking over a small Middle Eastern nation and expanding?" I mean, it sounds like an A24 movie. Um, well, I don't. My personal view, I don't believe in anarchy. I understand the impulse to just burn it all down, and that's kind of what we're talking about in this script. I understand the impulse to want to burn it all down, but that doesn't ever seem to result in lasting change. You actually have to have people work in the systems that are built. Um, this is just, as a history nerd, seems to be the case. You have to work in. It's a lot of work. It's not just blowing stuff up. Um, it's reactionary and it makes a big impact in the moment and it creates a lot of conversation. But not only does anarchy or the big splashy movements tend to uh, make people dig their heels in more, but also um, it doesn't actually change the system. Like, for example, some big corporation, you could kill the entire board members, the entire board, and they all have systems to be replaced. They all have people in the company gunning for their board memberships as is anyway. So like, it's not gonna do anything. Um, you have to be more willing to get your hands dirty. That's the expression that they would use. Um, but you have to lead. Yeah, you have to lead with a real goal in mind, and to if you want to actually change things, you have to get in the government or get into the whatever you're trying to change. You have to actually get into it and change it from the inside out. So I don't know. Okay, Georgia coughing into her handkerchief. Let's change this to Georgia. She'll be complaining about the way the world is. Okay, so let's take the spirit of what the mayor was formerly saying. I'm used to corporate takeovers. I'm used to them trying to knock me off, but now there's people like, I don't even know where they come from. It's new faces trying to get rid of us. Let's take the spirit of that and change it to, because she represents the kind of the mass, the mob mentality. Let's have it be like, you know, I'm poor. I'm lower class already, so I'm used to being kind of run over, steamrolled. I'm used to getting the bad end of a stick, whatever it's called, whatever the expression is. Um, but there's something different. There's something different that's been happening lately, um, and I can't say I'm not excited about it. What would she? Her feelings would be. It's never been this bad, but I've never been more empowered to. I've never been more. It's never been. Well, okay, let's just start writing it and then maybe. Okay. Okay. Georgia says, I'm used to being shit on by the world. In my neighborhood, we're at best forgotten and at worst blamed for everything. I'm used to that. But now there's people like, I don't even know where they come from. These corporations are actively targeting us. They're killing us for, maybe not actively targeting us. Maybe just straight, they're killing us for $1. These corporations are killing us for $1. Bam. These corporations are killing us for $1. People like you, Zips, you give us the fuel to fight. Nobody used to make a fuss. You gave them a reason to care 10 years ago with that cop story. Yeah, I've been reading your stuff for years. Georgia! I don't know if you're Let's change. Okay, let's switch this around because this is more. That's something that Zips would say. Okay, so I've been reading your stuff for years. I don't know if my fans are more jaded and cynical or apathetic and mobilized. Georgia looks at herself in the rearview mirror. Do I look like one of your soldiers? That line will be interesting. I like that line, but it'll be interesting to have that be it'll be interesting to have that line delivered because either she could be kind of indignant, like, do I look like one of your soldiers, or like, oh, you're surprised that I've read all your stuff. Do I don't look like one of your soldiers, do I? You know, that kind of thing. You never know who it's gonna be, who you're inspiring. Just kind of nice. She's trying to connect with him. But we'll figure that out in the line reading. Oh, you know what? I could get Georgia. I gotta change this. G-O-R-I-G-I-A-A-I-G-O-R. I could get Alan to play Georgia, who was the mother figure in Subjugate, the film that we made last year about Texas's abortion laws. Okay, so Silver Street Bohemian says, well, paganism was the first religion of the world centuries ago. It would make sense to come back stronger at some point into modern history, especially since other religions have taken so much from it over the centuries, but ideology is still ideology. That's my thing. Religion, man. They're going to use, no matter what the name of it is, no matter what the religiosity is, it will be used, and maybe this is just human nature, maybe anything will be, like politics. It will be used to, it'll be corrupted and used to benefit the greed and rage of people. Like, people hate on Islam, people hate on this or that religion. A lot of Islamophobia. But in my opinion, it could just as easily. I mean, there's just as much hate in Christianity, obviously, historically speaking. Like, it could easily be any religion over there. That just happens to be the religion that's over there. And of course, when the entire world treats a certain area of the world like crap for centuries, they're gonna feel like crap, and they're gonna be violent, and they're gonna be whatever, you know. Anyway, and Silver Streak says, "This is yet again why I love Star Trek." Heyo, and all of the symbolism it uses in its writing. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I grew up on. I mean, this is why I like doing these fictional things that aren't really fictional. You know? I mean, it's just like Twilight Zone. I've been watching a lot of Twilight Zone. They do a lot of that kind of stuff. It's not usually direct social commentary. It's more big ideas, but it's still like specific about using analogy and all that stuff. Okay, do I look? Okay, interior gas station night. Let's say instead of Mayor sitting in the car, let's have Georgia. Zippo stands in line in front of Georgia. Behind a stranger and in front of Georgia. Georgia is right. I melted the sand of time into a mirror that reflected what they wanted to see. Madness. The world saw itself honestly, ate it up, shat it out, and is repeating the process. That's a reference to my own dog. That one who will poop, circle the yard, and then go eat that poop. Because she's nasty. No matter how much I try to tell her not to. Okay. The man in front of Zippo pulls a mask over his face, holds up the gas station attendant. Zippo turns and looks at Georgia. At Georgia, who rolls her eyes. And then we'll change this to Georgia walks away. She's frustrated that her day is inconvenienced. Zippo turns around and looks at Georgia, who rolls her eyes. Last year, the most watched program was a televised rape. Georgia walks away. That's the darkest line of the whole thing. But in this society, I wouldn't be surprised if that's true. Georgia walks away frustrated that her day is inconvenienced. Mr. Zippo, when does trauma turn into disillusion? When does illusion turn into mass apathy? We've seen too much. Maybe we've seen too much. Exterior, down pharmaceutical incinerator, early morning. Zippo pulls his car up to an old abandoned factory surrounded by the neighborhoods that should have been abandoned a long time ago. I don't know why I'm reading it like a newsman. Interior, down pharmaceutical incinerator, early morning. Zippo and Mayor. So let's change that to Mayor. So let's change that to Georgia. Walk around the abandoned complex. Georgia says, maybe we don't need Georgia to say anything. Because this was originally Mayor. Zippo would be taking Georgia to the pharmaceutical incinerator in order to get her perspective on what's been a journey. So what kind of probing question could he ask, or would he just be letting her talk? We've established that she reads Zippo, that she feels empowered finally. But she is also kind of apathetic to violence, like to this world that she lives in. Oh, interesting. I got there's an auto mod that is holding a message from Silver Streak Bohemian because it has sex-based terms, and I get to approve or deny I'm going to approve it. There we go. Approve. Thank you. Let's go back to these, please. Oh wait, where's my script? Over here. Okay. Silver Streak says, "Yeah, look at the telegram." Oh, that makes me wonder if I say. Well, I already said the word. So, rape group chats up to 70,000 men found on it. Have you heard about that? I have not heard about that. I have a way that we can look at this thing. Send me a link. Can you do links in the chat? I don't know. Because, like, I have a whole thing here where we can research while we're looking at the script. Or I can just Google it. Heck, I'll just Google it. Telegram rape group chat. That's on LinkedIn. Here we go. Via Yahoo News, December 19th, 2024. Okay. Let me pull up this. Can I do this here? How does one... How does Google Chrome, Twitch? No. Well... Okay, hold on. I had it all set up before, but okay, so let's add display capture, thank you. This is research, hello. Oh, maybe I want window, I guess it doesn't matter. Nobody look at this, okay. Here we go. Telegram rape group chats with up to 70,000, I haven't read any of this, so. Thousands of men are participating in chat groups, which they share suggestions on how to rape and sexually assault women, a German investigation has revealed. Germany is not America, so that would actually be pretty decent world news for us to cover on the news program. The groups on the instant messaging service Telegram have as many as 70,000 members who mostly communicate with one another in English and appear to come from a variety of countries. Users claim to have assaulted women in their household, including wives, partners, sisters, and mothers, and also shared instructions on others how to do the same. How is Telegram... Okay, maybe. Okay. Some in the chat groups have also shared pictures, while others posted live video of the assaults. In one instance, a German man said he would sedate his wife and offered her to other users. The allegations came in court... Okay. The allegations came as a court in Avignon, in France, sentenced Dominique Pellicot to 20 years in prison for sedating his wife Giselle and offering her online to other men to rape and assault. So this is the world we live in. He would also rape and assault her himself. The attacks took place over several years, with 50 other men in the case found guilty on Thursday. The trial has raised questions about the extent to which anonymous internet chat groups facilitate such crimes. Ms. Pellicot has been praised for insisting that the case took place in public and take place in public in order to raise awareness about the issue. Oh, that's cool. Good for her. Telegram, set up by Russian tech billionaire Pavel Durov in 2013, has been a long go-to messaging platform for criminals due to the firm's refusal to share any data with government agencies. I know that in America, I mean, I'm sure that's happening too, but I first heard about Telegram because it was the messaging service that a bunch of right-winger Proud Boys were using, so that tracks. The investigation by German broadcaster ARD and STRV_F investigative team also found group users have been swapping tips on how to sedate their partners. This includes posting links to online shops where sexual abusers could buy sedatives disguised as hair products. You know what that reminds me of? Do you remember a few years ago when QAnon conspiracy theories were saying that Wayfair was selling furniture, was selling kids named, like, is disguised as furniture to do sex trafficking for children? There was no evidence of that, of course. Whereas there is evidence of this happening, and it's actually happening, and it's been, I guess, proven in court. I'd have to look at that. Where it's been proven in court, and hey, where are all of those people that were mad? Those QAnoners, why aren't they mad about this? Funny how that happens. Telegram insisted that it takes action against such groups. It said in a statement, Telegram has a zero tolerance policy towards misuse of its platform. All users caught doing so will be blocked immediately. How'd that work out for you? During ARD's year-long investigation, some groups were deactivated, but users were often sent links to new ones, of course. Investigators in Germany said they have had some success in recent years, convincing Telegram to share information connected to probes into terrorism and child sex abuse content. Mr. Durov was arrested in France in August on charges for failing to address the distribution of illicit content. He has denied the allegations. Currently under house arrest in Paris, the tech entrepreneur later said his platform would do more to crack down on problematic... That's what he called it? Problematic content. Why is it... Oh, it's these CEOs. It's just like... Just take a moral stance. It's okay if your platform wasn't... I mean, it's not okay, but if your platform wasn't set up to flag these things in an efficient sort of way, just say that. Like, hey, it's terrible. We're working on it. Anyway. The prevalence of child abuse content on apps such as Telegram has led to calls in Germany for the police to be given more powers to locate the IP addresses of people acting anonymously online. That part's interesting, though. People should be allowed to be anonymous, but if it's abused, I don't know. That is interesting. Wow, Silver Streak. Okay, let me get back to this. That is something. That is some heavy news. I don't know what to do with that. I mean, it's happening in court, and I trust Germany's laws more than Germany's court system more than I do America's. But oof. Okay, let's see what's been going on since I've been reading that. Dox them all, I said. Okay. Yeah. So. Well, that's right. That's the right mood for this this stream, I guess. So. Okay. Change this to Georgia. So. Georgia and Zippo are walking around the complex that ended up poisoning her and the community. Maybe we can talk, just for backstory, for exposition, maybe she can talk about how they sold off the houses, or they offered to buy, to buy the houses out of the people and move them out of the community. I mean, personally, I would take the money, but some people, they even in the face of a hurricane, they don't want to move. Silver Streak says, I'm partly kidding with doxing. I know innocent people can get hurt. Yeah. But it also helps people to actually be held accountable. Another conversation for another day. I mean, it's a tool. But then again, that's more mob mentality. And I'm sure there's plenty of examples of innocent people, but there's probably plenty of examples of terrible people being doxxed too. I don't know, man. It's complicated. The world is complicated. That's the whole thing. Let's have her, and we can always change this. Maybe it's, so Mr. Zippo's journalism tends to be the same way that I do journalism, where I just kind of sit back and let people do the talking, and then I write down, or don't write down, I film or record what they're saying, and then I edit that into the narrative. If given the chance, people will talk, especially if it's something they're passionate about. You don't really need to prompt them all that much. So that's kind of how Zippo is operating, just because that's how I operate. So maybe she's just kind of talking aloud. Sometimes I think I should have taken that their money. Oh, okay, yeah. Moved away. Maybe Zippo says, "Why didn't you?" I would like her to say something like, "Well, at the time I was more principled. At the time I didn't want to take this blood money. I didn't know how bad it would be." At the time I was more... That's kind of the fun thing about writing. Principled? The issue with writing online is everybody can see how bad I am at spelling. The fun thing about writing, especially multiple characters and having a discourse, is as a person, I've always been really good. Okay, this sounds like a humble brag. I've always been pretty good at, like, this is, seeing both sides, holding two different opposing thoughts, and being able to say, well, I mean, I understand. Okay, that seems, I understand where you're coming from. That's valid, you know. And that's kind of the fun thing about writing is this is what actors like to explore when they're portraying characters that are different than themselves, is really digging in and experiencing how this person would think, and what they're not even really thinking about what their motivations are, but like, given their history, what would come out of their mouths. And that's what I get to do with this, is like, okay, if I put my mind in there, it just, I don't know, it helps me explore different ideas, but also it builds up my empathy muscles, or whatever. You know, it helps me be a little bit more reflective on my own perspective, but also, like, take a step back, humble brag myself, and be like, okay, given where you've come from, like, helps me be more understanding, I guess. Okay. I like that she's kind of playful with it. Well, at the time I was more principled. I don't know what happened to that. But she is also like, she's also here, and she does feel like energized to do things by the mob, but she's apathetic towards the outcomes, kind of. So maybe there's another interior down pharmaceutical. Not early morning, just morning. Top floor. Okay. Georgia and Zippo round the corner and find themselves in a room of open windows. So Georgia says, okay, this needs to be a reference to she feels a little apathetic. She wants things to happen, but maybe this could be this could also be some voiceover stuff. From Zippo. I like her being a performer here. Okay. Maybe she says something like she's talking about the current state of mind that she's in. And the world that she lives in is so chaotic, it's so terrible that she has a hard time caring about anything. So when presented with an opportunity to have a little what is the adrenaline spike, essentially, a little teeny flash of justice, she's gonna take it because it's the last time she's been able to feel anything has been forever. So how does she communicate that? It's very introspective. And while I think about that, I have to go pee. I will be right back. 30 seconds. Not time, babies. Not time. Okay, I'm back. Silver Streak says, sorry I don't know the characters well enough yet. I need to read the whole script to better understand, but she's giving me feels of Kirsten Dunst's role in Civil War. Is that close at all? So, Georgia was not much of a, like, in the original draft of the script, she was not a character. I mean, she was a character, but she had no lines. She was essentially just there to show, she was an example of the effect that the mayor had on like, this community. And also show that Zippo is like a nice guy. But so like we're figuring out what her character is as we go. It's been well, since whenever Civil War came out that I've seen that film. Zippo is, I feel like Zippo is more like Kirsten Dunst in that she's like, I don't really get involved, but I feel compelled to get involved. I feel like Georgia is more. She's tired. She represents what the world is feeling in this world, but also similar to what we feel these days, is that She used to. It's like that when you're in college, when you're in your 20s, things are a lot more black and white, and you feel. I mean, I still feel optimistic about the world somehow, but you feel one way about the world. You're ambitious, and you just get beaten down and beaten down and beaten down and beaten down, to the point where uh, you question your own perspective on the world. So in this universe, it's like the 1% are controlling everything. It's a lot. It's actually similar to what is it? Children of Men, where it's just mega corporations. The heads of state are the heads of corporations, and people are surviving, but they're not really living. Georgia has been the brunt of it. She's like the lowest on the totem pole. But she came into this world um, like she could make a difference. So these days, she's got either cancer or some sort of, I don't know, some sort of illness from these pharmaceutical burn offs, essentially living next to a burn pit. So she doesn't really have the energy to like be boots on the ground to really make systematic change. Um, and the current dialogue is that screw it, the world's ending anyway. Like do something if you can, but for the most part, screw it. Maybe that's something she could talk about. Is like, well, I try to do my part, but the world's ending, so there's she's lost all hope essentially. I mean, that's kind of her state of mind. Huh. That's interesting. Okay. So, how do I translate that? Oh, I'm going to start the music back up. You know, every time I go to pee, welcome to the stream. Every time I go to pee, I'm worried that my glasses and that my headphones will fall straight into the toilet. It's never happened, but every single time I'm worried about it. So let's continue this. Oh, don't be on shuffle. Definitely don't smart shuffle. Come on. All right, let's do this one. Mogwai, hello, thank you. Okay, so she says she's talking about hope. She's lost all hope. She's been beaten down so long that the world's ending in her mind. The world is over, maybe. Oh, don't worry, Silver Streak. You can do whatever you want, man. You're not actually on you're not on screen, so like you're just hanging out in the chat. You're just a viewer. You don't have to apologize about not contributing or anything. Okay, so she says the world this world's over. she's positive. This world's over. I do what I can, but we can expand on this thing, but like, man, it's over. That's how people feel, you know? Like, why should they care? That's not how I feel. But like, they're like, man, what's the point? Okay, so maybe Georgia and Zippo around the corner. They walk toward the end of the hall and spot a man. Mayor! Cybertruck, yeah. Silver says, she's making jokes. Silver says, the world's a dump truck fire, trash fire, or Cybertruck fire now. Have they decided? Okay, so I know they found, I haven't looked at it since this morning. I know they found firework mortar shells, like in the debris. That's why I think it was pretty, and it looks like fireworks. That's why I'm pretty sure it was an accident. But let me know if they've updated that story. Excuse me. I walk towards the end of this final man. Mayor! Standing in the window, ready to jump. Okay, so let's steal. I think that's good. Okay, Zippo stops writing on his notepad. Yeah, as soon as I saw that explosion, I mean, it looked like fireworks. You can kind of tell. I just don't know how that happens, you know? Okay, Georgia casually walks up to tried boop Mayor and pushes him out of the window. Yeah, I read last night that it was the driver who was killed in the firework explosion. Yeah, I mean, they could have literally just lit a cigarette. It was a rental, too. Mr. Zippo. Georgia. This movie's almost over. It's got I gotta do like a closing kind of monologue thing, but oof, oof. As a director, sometimes I get really excited I write a line like that in a moment like that, and I get really excited to shoot it because I'm like, oh, this is gonna be powerful. Like, like I can't wait. I get excited for the actor to perform it because I know that they'll be excited. Like, oh, it's so meaty and it's so cool, and it's like, ooh, feels good. Anyway, I came up with that. I came up with most of my good ideas as I'm falling asleep. This Dr. Pepper is too big. I'm gonna feel like Georgia soon enough. Okay. So let's say Zippo looks out the window. I wonder if in the sound design it would be interesting to, because they do when someone when someone jumps out of a window in movies, it's like crash, that you hear people freaking out, and hear cars coming to a screeching halt. It would be interesting to not have any of that. It's just silence. I mean, you hear the impact, but that's it. There's no reaction. Anyway. Zippo. This is voiceover. Hey, when you're reading scripts, is voiceover, is it Zippo VO or is it Zippo and then down parentheses voiceover? I can't ever figure out which one I like more. Because this way it looks like Zippo and then his last name is VO. Which is silly. But I usually reserve this section, a little action or like note under here for like a character choice. What do the pros do? Also, Silverstreak, it's so nice to have you working with me. This is really nice. And to have well, they're gone now, but Gandalf, that was fascinating. And the exact same thing happened in the last stream where people we were just chatting. They were talking about the world, they were talking about their political ethos and ideals and ideas. So like it's fun to it's fun to have that. And that's what we're doing this for, right? Come on. Okay. And it's officially been 25 hours since my dogs maybe ate rat poison, and they seem to be doing so. Okay. I don't know. Do we have a name for the mayor? I don't know if we do. I don't think we do. Aw! Learning. Silver Streak Bohemian says, I'm learning a lot about writing, which is something I've been wanting to do for a long time, so thank you. Yeah, you gotta. I mean, I write probably a lot differently than most people, but like, I don't know. That's why we do this. I tend to, and also my scripts, even if they're very loud and having lines like I haven't felt anything in years. Even if they can be, the ideas can be loud. I try to do my things a little bit more subtly, and I don't like to talk down to my audience. Like, I don't like to, yeah, I don't like to talk down to them. I like to give credit to them, so they should be able to pick up on what we're talking about. Yeah, I saw that about your dog is about to celebrate 15 or 17 years old. Amazing. That's so cool. The dog that I had to put him down earlier this year, but it was her brother, older brother. Not by blood, but he was like 15 or something. He ended up not being able to he was incontinent and he couldn't lift himself up, but so it was time. But Silver says my dog ate a whole chocolate chip cookie right before Xmas, and we were freaking out. Yeah, at 16 years old, and that's a tiny dog. Chocolate chip cookies, they're usually milk chocolate, which is not as potent. So you're usually okay. Chocolate can be really scary though. These guys have pretty iron stomachs. I don't give them chocolate, obviously, but like sometimes they'll get in and it's okay. Usually. Okay. Mayor. It's hard for me to resist the urge to be a pretentious, like film school writer and have the names really mean something or be a reference to something heavy. I'm gonna turn this light on. Do I need to? I'm a little low, aren't I? Yeah, I'm gonna turn this light on. Just a little bit. Ooh, I'm yellow. Look at me, I'm a Simpson. So like the mayor's name could be like a reference to something, but sometimes it's just pretentious to do that. Like I could name the mayor, Mayor Luigi or Mayor whatever the CEO's got, but come on, you know. I hope I don't get demonetized on Twitch for that gesture. Okay. Okay. He's gonna go into a quick little obituary about the mayor, but it's gonna be poetic and it's gonna be interesting. Currently, I'm listening to Godspeed You Black Emperor, the Dead Flag Blues off their first album from 1999, I think. All you pretentious music nerds out there will understand. Okay. Zippo. Okay, so this is when we gotta figure out when this movie is set. Is it like the future? I am so glad you mentioned. Okay, Silver Streak says the voiceover is an internal monologue like Perry Mason or Sugar with Colin Farrell. Did you see those? Sugar came out just before I moved here, and then I haven't had Apple TV since I got here. But holy crap, I love Sugar. It's a classic noir, or neo noir, I should say. But it's definitely like it's beautiful looking. I love Colin Farrell, and it's so good. Yeah, I mean, we're making a noir here, so the voiceovers are very. It is voiceover like internal monologue. But right now, we're transitioning out of the internal monologue into this is what is written in the Zine, his most recent Zine, or maybe his last Zine. So it could be that all the voiceovers that we've been hearing throughout the script are actually part of that Zine, and he just writes very poetically about the news. That would be kind of cool because that's the kind of Zine I would read. So could be, but now this part is full on actually part of the thing. But yeah, is it past or present? There's nothing about this that's particularly futuristic. The Batman isn't set in the future. In fact, when it was written, it was all about gangsters because it was like the 20s and 30s, and gangsters were hot. I gotta feed these dogs in 5 minutes. So maybe it is set in the future or in the now, not in the future. So if the CEO, let's say the CEO's 50, 52, what is that in math? Hold on. Look at this. 2025. Hello. Minus 52. 1973. Born. 1973. Mayor. Mayor. It's hard to resist the urge to make this an important name. Something that is. I'll worry about it later. Let's just take the back of. Let's just take the back of Drive with Ryan Gosling and look up some names. Newman! Edited by Matt Newman. Mayor Newman? Mayor Brooks? Albert Brooks? Mayor Brooks? I like that. I do like Albert Brooks. If I could get Albert Brooks to be in this movie, I would cast him as that. Perlman. Perlman, that'd be too obviously named after Ron Perlman. There's only one of those. I like Brooks for now. It doesn't mean anything. It's just named after a guy. With the actually, that's kind of interesting. It's named after an ideal casting, you know, someone that I would never be able to get. He doesn't even like do movies. Okay. Mayor Brooks. Born 1973. So he's looking out the window at the dead body on the ground. Born 1973. Mayor Brooks. Do we want to be... How poetic does he want to be with this obituary? Because he could be like, born 1973. Mayor Brooks fell out of a window. You would never say that in a real obituary, but this is a Zine. It's edgy. I do want him to say, "Ah, that feels so good." For Noir, for this, Silver Streak says, Mayor Brooks' body lay in a pool of his own blood. I'm doing it. I'm doing it, guys. Okay. Lay in a pool of his own blood. It's a Zine, man. You can do anything. You don't have to be like a newspaper. You're kind of like a newspaper. I've always wanted to make a Zine. That'd be cool. Just like an anonymous thing and just like throw the leaflets around. I've thought about it, but the problem with that is there's going to be like security cameras everywhere, so you don't become anonymous because like they're like, oh, it's that guy. Okay. It's time to feed the dogs, so I will be right back. Born 1973, Mayor Brooks lay in a pool of his own blood. Oh my. You guys hungry? You guys hungry? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Gotta pee again. You're right back. so good. And you know, if I'm honest, as far as the naming things go, especially with projects that are like really artsy fartsy like this, people will like look into the names that we choose and the choices that are made, even if there's no actual symbolic reasoning behind them. They will find, oh, Mayor Brooks. Okay. So it's a brook. So it's like a river, and so he represents the traveling of or the forward momentum of tragedy. You know, something like that. He'll come up with something. So I can't think about it too much. Mayor Brooks is pooling with his blood. Killed by. Okay, so let's go back to let's go back to the metaphor that he's been using about the hive and heat. I'll let you out in a second. Shut up. Killed by the. Killed by the. Okay, I gotta let this dog out. Just Phoebe though, because you'll run away. What is it, the scientific term at the beginning? The shivering thermogenesis. Okay, so we're gonna call it killed by the shiver of a suffering community. Or maybe just the shiver of suffering? There's this shiver of apathy, the shiver of... Because he's referencing... the whole metaphor is when society or when people get in the mob mentality, it's like we're all kind of seeing this heat, we're generating this heat amongst each other to survive because we've been beaten down for so long. But that also means that we're just like enraging ourselves, and that's dangerous. We get tunnel vision because of this heat that we're generating. So like killed by the shiver. Oh shoot! Breaking news. Da, 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 da. Silverstreak says news just said that the Cybertruck driver was killed by a self-inflicted gun wound, so he lit the fuse and then shot himself. Oh, that's fascinating. Huh. So then because it's a rented Cybertruck. So that's almost certainly a statement that he was doing. Huh. I guess we'll learn more about like who he was in the coming days, but that's definitely an intentional like statement. Huh. No, I can't take you out, bud. He wants to go to the park. I'm almost done with this movie. Hi. This is Cosmo. He ate rat poison. No. I shouldn't be so glib in case he actually did. Hopefully he's okay. I don't think he actually did. I can't take you to the park, bud. I mean, I could, but we're almost done. I'll take you at like half an hour or something, maybe. Oh, he's gassy. Okay. I don't want to take you out because then I have to sit out there for like 10, 15 minutes. Killed by the Shiver. By the Shiver of Rage. Ah, such a good word. Shiver of Rage. Ugh. Okay, I gotta take this guy out. Real quick. Do I have something you could watch in the meantime so that this doesn't get boring? I don't think so. I need to have some of our... Oh, maybe I do have... Okay. Let's put on... requisite or subject or like the middle. I think I still have that. Let me see what this looks. Do I have it in here? That's not what I want. Here it is. Okay, I'm gonna let these dogs out and I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Ma'am, didn't mean to frighten you. Just doing a routine safety check. My name's Marcus. Are you Sarah?
Do you have a badge?
Excuse me?
Are you a police officer? Do you have authority?
No, ma'am. I'm a deputy organized by the Amarillo Concerned Citizens. Have you heard of the unborn protection legislation that the city...
No, border checks were struck down.
No, ma'am. Legislation's in process as we speak, but should be ready by fall. But we concerned citizens are just making sure you don't get in any trouble.
What kind of trouble?
Ma'am, I'm gonna need you to get out of the vehicle. I have a few questions for you. I have evidence that you haven't been logging your monthlies for the past 16 weeks. So, ma'am, I'd advise you not to make this any harder than it has to be.
How dare you?
Ma'am, step out of the car. I'm gonna ask you one question, and I want you to think real hard before you answer this one question. Perhaps you heard about the woman that had died recently on these roads, trying to skip town to eliminate that living being that was growing inside of her. Now, I don't want you to make that same mistake, so listen closely.
Is it Was it just you, Odie?
What exactly are your intentions on this road?
Is there someone else in that van?
Now you're making this difficult for me. So, ma'am, I will ask you only once. Will you happily and graciously love and care for that child?
So we're still getting all the outcomes that we need.
Why does it matter?
It's the only thing that matters.
My sweetie.
Yeah, Mitchell, this ain't it.
Yes.
God, we come before you this city hall meeting today as a city on our knees. We come before you as the people of Amarillo, Texas, and whether we are different races.
Okay, we're back. Cosmo did not use the bathroom, but he went outside. So, killed by Silverstreak says they need to go as well soon, but they'll leave the laptop open. Thank you. I'm almost done with this. Killed by the. Oh, let's start the music again. I wanted to change the phrasing of this. Killed by shivering rage of the shivering rage of a community looking for answers. Also, breaking news: Cybertruck guy drove from Colorado with the truck. They found military ID as well. Military guys, man. Go to therapy. I mean, who knows? They might have been in therapy. Okay. Killed by the shivering rage of a community looking for answers. So we got a special ops guy. Shoot. What does that mean? I wonder if they've got to find like a note or something that explains the point that he was trying to make. I don't know. Killed by the shivering rage of a community looking for answers. We got to transition into. Okay, this guy was killed because he was a target. From the mob. Because what I want to happen is Zippo has been publishing this Zine anonymously. And this doesn't have to happen. But he's been publishing this Zine anonymously. And he's stuck in a position where if he keeps feeding the rage of of his readers, bad things will continue to happen and the degradation of society, blah, blah, blah. So he doesn't want to shut down the Zine, but he also doesn't want to, lie to his... He doesn't want to, as a journalist, you're not supposed to fall down on one side, or you're not supposed to like push people towards one conclusion or another. So he's stuck in this weird situation. Maybe he's. It would be kind of nice if he is like, okay, I can't get involved in any story. So what if I am the story? What if he uses this incident and the things that he's learned about the world, and then he becomes not anonymous? Like he reveals his own name, and then thus becomes a potential target of the mob itself, and thusly making the mob question their motives? Maybe? Is that too big of a reach? Is that too, you know? And if we go with that, how do we connect from here to there? This is only 5 minutes. This will be a heavy 5-minute piece. It'll probably be a little longer than that, but the script right now is only like 5 pages. Well, they would question their motives if, say he publishes. Maybe this is the connection. So what he says is, okay, so the way they would question their motives is if they turn against their beloved Zippo magazine, the creator. If they turn against Mr. Zippo, because they disagree with one thing that he said, and maybe that one thing is like, hey, maybe Brooks didn't deserve to die or be pushed out of a window. Maybe, just maybe. I'm just asking the question. And maybe they turn against him because they are just want to be bad. Maybe they are just looking for a target, and then the target becomes the person that's been something like that. But then the question becomes, how do we communicate all of that in like one little monologue here without having a million endings? Like, well, now they're burning down his house. Now there's pitchforks outside of Zippo's office. That kind of thing. I was thinking, if I wanted to go that route, it could be that this final piece was published. It's Portishead now. This final piece was like published posthumously. So like he wrote up this article that revealed his name or something like that, but only it was set to only come out if the mob ends up targeting him. But the problem is, then I like that math, but then the problem is, if he's revealing his name in his own final piece, then how did the mob find out who he was? That's the trick. I gotta reply to. I have a composer wanting to have a meeting tonight. That sounds good to me. And he'd actually be a great composer. He's a jazz guy. He'd be a great composer for this film, and he would love to do it. But it's for another film. Maybe I can talk about this one if I end up making it. So, the puzzle that I've written myself, the corner I've written myself into, and maybe there's a different solution to this. Because the conversation is, what is the role of a journalist in a world like this? Silver says, unless somebody else was connected to the mob without knowing they were until the last minute or something. Huh. Expand on that. Yeah, because what could another solution be? Maybe Georgia? He's scratching. Maybe something. Maybe Georgia could do something. Maybe Georgia dies. What would that do? Not much. Brooks is dead. People don't care about Brooks. If you were a journalist in this situation and you were concerned about the way the world is going, what would your role then be if you wanted to make an impact on the world that wasn't detrimental, that wasn't continuing this, downward? I don't know. Cosmo, I can't take you, buddy. Looking for answers. Okay, let's say maybe looking for a moving target. Something like that. Looking for go by the Sherman Ranger community looking for answers. Looking for a stop it. No. You're only making noise because he wants to go to the park. Stop it. Killed by the shipping range of the community looking for answers. Looking for maybe a solution to. Well, I mean, it's the closing. Yeah, that's the question. Okay, so Silver says, as a journalist, you would want to document the facts and stay unbiased, but is that possible in this world? That's the whole conversation, because, like, the world is taking your efforts to report and using that as fuel for their own deeds, So, like, if you genuinely don't want the world to keep degrading and you're the one providing the fuel, what do you do with that? You don't want to give propaganda, but they're making your unbiased information propaganda anyway. Looking for a solution. Killed by a string rage, we continue looking for answers. Looking for a solution. Okay. It's like they're looking for some sort of light. They're looking for something in all of this darkness, and it's the one thing that they can. It's like they're in a frozen tundra and they see or feel they go towards something that might be safety, that just might be warm. None of that's good, but that's the face that they're in. Go by the sharing range, community, looking for answers, looking for how to communicate. Maybe it's a statement. Let's just say killed by shivering rage. By heat. By heat, hoping for Knives Out by Radiohead. Thank you. Blinded by heat, hoping for I wanna say like they're it's the emotion seeking. They're seeking a hit. Yeah, Blinded by the Light. Yeah, I mean that'd be a good, but the issue is then people think of this song "Blinded by the Light," and also we're going with the heat metaphor. Um, what is it? What is it called when you're seeking like a punch of adrenaline? Like you're something seeking. I don't remember. Seeking. Um, this is all rough, obviously. So maybe I just put something down. Seeking a hit. Heat. Using senses that have dulled from a constant barrage of blinded by hate, using senses that have dulled from a constant barrage of tragedy. We can change that word out, but that something along those lines. Has. I don't want him leading anything in a direction, but he wants to pose a question for sure. But is it leading? It's a little leading. what's another hive mentality metaphor we can use to insinuate their the moving target of the mob of the mob mentality, that they're always looking for a new fix. We're gonna go. You gotta give me a second. Okay, he leaves behind a wife and a... Stop it. He leaves behind a wife. I might have to leave this before... Oh, this is going to be unsatisfying. I might have to leave this before, and then just go to the park if they're going to be like this. Phoebe, shut up. He leaves behind... And maybe I'll think about this. Yeah. Maybe we'll think of... Because this is just like the closing monologue, and maybe there's like one little thing at the end, but I think this might be okay. Hey. He leaves behind... Oh! You know what? He's the mayor, so maybe we can talk about... He leaves behind a wife and a city of... He leaves behind a wife and a city of... Something. Okay. I gotta go, guys. I'm sorry about that. Let's end this stream. Thank you for joining me. It's been... These guys are annoying. It's been almost 3 hours. That's not too bad. We've made a lot of progress. I will end this soon. When I get back, I'll finish writing, probably. If you have any ideas, please post them in the comments. Okay, here we go. See you later. He's pulling me to the park, guys. Okay. I will... I don't know. If there's subscribers, if you're subscribed to this thing, maybe one day we'll have a newsletter where you get to download these PDFs. Subscribe, like, follow, share, comment, all the things. We're interactive. We're the resistance, guys. Let's try and get through the next 4 years intact together. Okay. Bye-bye.
When every day is a matter of survival, I don't think you can help but be involved. An artist's duty, as far as I'm concerned, is to reflect the times.
It's political in the most profound sense, not as a weapon in the struggle, but as an instrument of understanding of the futility of struggle.
We will shape and mold this country, or it will not be molded and shaped at all anymore.